Hello, welcome to the Sutlifting Report. Today I am going to share with you a presentation I recently did down in Port Charlotte, Florida. They had some incredibly great people at a group called We the People in there. And if you live in that area near Fort Myers, it's worth going to join that group. That is a really excellent group of people. Go and enjoy the fellowship with like-minded people. I can't say enough about that group. That is a good group of people. So today I wanted to share this presentation, and I'll just start off with this. And here we go. I wanted to start out by saying, look, in Congress, this is the Declaration of Independence. As a history teacher, you have to recognize that the Constitution of the United States recognizes that this document is the beginning of the United States of America. That is recognized in the Constitution, that this is the first document of the United States. This is why we call it the Declaration of Independence. This is where the United States of America comes from. So this says this: in Congress, July 4th, 1776, unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth that separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare causes which impel them to the separation. Here it is, right here, people. The separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God. This is the God of America. All right, this is the Christian God. How do you know this? If you continue to read this document, it will blow your mind. This says a lot. So where does, again, laws of nature? Let's talk about that. And nature's God. Entitled to what? Decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which. So when you read the cause of separation, you learn an awful lot. This awful lot it's about rights of mankind. They are declared. Okay, let's read these. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Oh, so this God, worshipped by these men, believes there is such a thing as truth. And that truth is self-evident. This is extremely, extremely important. Thank you, Christo. And I cannot pronounce your name. Doma Gradyman. Thank you for joining us. We're on 4 channels and a few more in YouTube, and we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter. So if you can share and say hello, great. Give me a little bit more boost of confidence to keep going on this. I want people to understand that this is the kind of God that was served by those who fought for this country to make it a country. This is extremely important. It's not just, the Enlightenment really did not happen in the United States. It happened overseas. Did we get influenced? Yes. But if you look overseas, it was life, liberty, and I think they didn't add pursuit of happiness. They had something else. Life and liberty are the first two. Property was another that they would talk about. But without the pursuit of happiness, you don't have property. Property is superfluous to this. It's extra. You have to have life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness to have property. Things that you can own. Pursuit of happiness ends the concept of slavery. And that's here in the Declaration of Independence. Please understand this. In the Declaration of Independence, this is the end of slavery. It's already declared. All right, so this is the beginning. I mean, it's the beginning of the end of slavery, written into our founding documents. Again, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. You can't govern without consent. This is extremely important to understand. Now, why am I saying this? Because Shariah, let me go back here. Shariah wants more from you. All right? It doesn't believe you have a right to independence. It doesn't believe you have a choice. All right? What is Shariah? Shariah is the law that Muslims revere. It is the word law. So when you hear people say Sharia law, start laughing at them. They're in la la land. La 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 la. Not much difference. Have a good laugh. And then you know they really don't know much about what they're talking about when they say that. All right, we're going to keep going. I just want to explain again how I got into this. This is what started me out in this field. I went to a 912 group. I was becoming active in it. And a friend of mine named Helen, she said to me, Paul, did you know that this group called the International Institute of Islamic Thought gave $500,000 to Nazareth College? And in the back of my head, I start going, I know this group. I've heard of this group. So I start to do a little bit of research. And this is what I learned. Dr. Muhammad Shafiq, he's the one who petitioned IIIT to get the funds for Nazareth. On his CV, he brags that Nazareth College, he brags that he's the imam of the Westfall Mosque, and he brags that his teacher, let me just put this up full screen so you can see, that his teacher is Dr. Ismail Faruqi. This becomes important. Dr. Ismail Faruqi is one of the founders of the International Institute of Islamic Thought. He's one of the founders of the Muslim Student Association, which is again, this is the first Muslim Brotherhood entity in the United States. See, these people had to come to Canada to sneak in here because they couldn't come to America directly. They were forbidden. There was law. There was rules against it. They had laws against it. This is extremely important to understand. So he's bragging. He's connected to Dr. Ismail Faruqi. He's telling everybody he was connected to members of the Muslim Brotherhood by saying this. All right, now let's keep going here. Again, that is the Muslim Brotherhood's connection. Okay. Muslim Student Association had a group at the University of Rochester. This is when I started working on this. Muslim Student Association at the University of Rochester had a relationship with the Westfall Mosque, which was tied to Dr. Muhammad Shafiq. Are you seeing this full circle? This is what got me into this. I was looking not at the belief structure, which is where I am now. I was looking at terrorism. I understand the Muslim Brotherhood is the parent of every terrorist group, that Islamic terror group in the world. I could figure that out. It took me so little to figure this out, so little time. It's just phenomenal that Nazareth College wouldn't do that. No, they'll just take the money wherever it comes from. University of Rochester could have figured this stuff out. No, they're not responsible for doing research on the groups. Yeah, they are. The board of trustees for these two colleges has a fiduciary responsibility to protect their group that they're on the board of trustees for. They refuse to do this. Dr. Muhammad Shafiq would go out and he would say, Islam means peace. This guy is lying through his teeth. So I would get up afterwards when we did this about 3 times. First time he was in a Catholic church and they were asking him to talk about why are Muslims attacking Christians in Syria? Oh, and Islam means peace. He didn't really answer any of their questions. At the end, I'm the last person to ask a question, and I say, can you tell them what Islam means in Arabic? Submission. Everybody was kind of surprised. So I asked if he was lying before. And doesn't really answer. Not a surprise. This goes on a couple times. We go through the same routine. The last time, he says, Islam means the same thing as shalom. Doesn't know anything about me. I've read his CV. I know who he's connected to. I'm livid. I have 12 credits of undergraduate Hebrew, 5 graduate credits of Hebrew. I am livid. Submission is not the same thing as peace. Not even close. I contact the college. I say that this man is out there using his professor emeritus title to lie to people. And he's affiliated with you using that title. So think about it, Nazareth. I called them. I told them that. Then, it was their choice of what to do from there. Again, how did I get into this? When I first looked this up, I could find all this information out. We were under attack by an unrecognized enemy. This is important to understand. There was a person outside a car. I believe it was the wife, or it was Dr. Ismail Abrace. Now, they were taking pictures of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge support structure. Well, a policeman just does a normal traffic stop. Excellent. Way to get the information. Doesn't tell them anything. He's getting the information. And again, they learn his name. They get his address. They get everything. And that gives them cause to do a search of his house. In his house, they find, I believe it's 92 or 93 bankers' boxes of documents from the Muslim Brotherhood in North America. One of these stands out. And this is the explanatory memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood of North America. In this document, there's one paragraph that stands up that has to be recognized. Again, this was written in 1991. And if you look down below, you will see this has been used in a court. It was used in the it was 2007, 2008 Holy Land Foundation trial. So this is a federally recognized document as an exhibit. So the Muslim Brotherhood here in the United States are real, no matter how many times people lie to you about that. This paragraph. This is the English translation. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brotherhood in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all that the word means. The Ikhwan, which means brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Without this level of understanding, we are not up to this challenge and have not prepared ourselves for jihad yet. It is a Muslim's destiny to perform jihad and work wherever he is and wherever he lands until the final hour comes. And there is no escape from that destiny except for those who choose to slack. But would the slackers and mujahideen be equal? This gets more intense because we have to start thinking, are we asking about threat doctrine? Are we looking at what causes these people to become violent? We have to know this. So do we know the enemy? Well, Obama said, this was back when he was in office, he had this nice We the People petition site. I think the idea there was good. So people like me, we got together and wrote this petition. Response to, and we wrote this petition to declare the Muslim Brotherhood organization a terrorist group. We begged for this. We petitioned it. But you're only supposed to get, I think, 500 people to sign the document in order to get a response. We had thousands. I think it was like 13,000 some odd people signed this document. And they were supposed to respond immediately. But about a year later, they decided to respond, and this is the document they used to respond in. And this is what Obama's executive office responded. We haven't seen credible evidence the Muslim Brotherhood has renounced its decades-long commitment to nonviolence. Well, they have something called the NIMCOS, which is secret apparatus. It's an assassination group. They kill people. Oh, they have Hamas. Hamas is just a chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood. Well, take a look. Do you consider them nonviolent? I think if you've been around for a few years, you know better. And this has gone all around the world. You can take a look. It's all over the world. And Obama's lying to us. He'd probably say the same thing today. The people of Egypt claimed that he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood when he was in office. Interestingly enough, our newspaper wouldn't cover that. Again, let's look at the historical truth. 1928. Let's look at what the Muslim Brotherhood's motto was. Does this sound peaceful? Allah is our objective. The Qur'an is our constitution. The Prophet is our leader. Jihad is our way. And death for the sake of Allah is the highest of our aspirations. Sound peaceful to you? Now let's look at this. I had been looking at some things differently. And that's what I want you to understand. I had not been looking at cause or threat doctrine. I had been looking at, this is terrorism. So what is the real beliefs is what I started going at. I studied the Quran. I'm studying Shariah still. And this is important to understand. Why do Muslims, what do they really believe? And when you look at the Muslim Brotherhood coming here, why were they coming here? I read some great books on this, and I wrote my own pieces on it because they answered some of the difficult questions. Here we go. So I want you to think about this. The Hijra, that's their word for migration or immigration. It's a secret doctrine in Islam. Well, let's think about this. How secret is it? You want to leave your own country before you have jihad. Does that make sense? You want to move into the other country and take over. Well, Sun Tzu was all about, if you can take over the other country without starting a war, you're a great general. So migration before jihad. What's happening to Europe today? It's been happening. And this weekend, I think, this was it Saturday or Friday, the UK caught a boat that came in with 128 Muslims. They didn't turn it around that I know of. Could have just simply done that and be done. But no. So where does this come from? This doctrine of migration. According to Hadith 2863, Kitab al-Mathail, it says, I charge you 5 of what Allah has charged me with: to assemble, to listen, to obey, to immigrate, to wage jihad for the sake of Allah. Hi, Freddie. Think about this. Immigrate and to wage jihad. You have to migrate. You have to go someplace. You don't want to cause a war in your own country. This, I recommend, if you want actual translations of the Quran, truthful translations of the Quran, you must buy this book, The Generous Quran, from the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. Go do that. All right. Let's take a look at what it says in the Quran. 218. Surely those who believe and those who emigrated and perform jihad. Okay. Sounds like they're saying the same thing. 872. Surely those who believe and those who emigrated and perform jihad with their money and their lives for the sake of Allah, and those who gave. Oh. Okay. If you believe and you emigrate and perform jihad with your money and your lives, is this reason to stop people from coming from Islamic countries? I mean, if their purpose is to come here and wage war, shouldn't that be making you think, what are we, stupid to take people in that believe this? Sir, 874, and those who believed and emigrated and performed jihad for the sake of Allah, and those who gave asylum and help gave you victory, and those are the true believers, they will receive forgiveness. Wait, again, we have another statement about jihad, immigrate, and this is that word hijrah. Yeah. 875, and those who believed afterward and emigrated and performed jihad with you, so those are of you. Okay, is there more? Yes, look. 1341, or they did not see that we came into the land and lessened its borders. Uh-oh. So they're here. It's too late now. They want Sharia. We have to recognize this. They're walking the streets. They've formed groups that are Hamas in America. CARE is Hamas in America. If you don't know that now, you need to know it. You need to immediately know this and recognize this. CARE is Hamas in America. And I'm going to get rid of something really quick so we can put this in without any problems. All right. Now let's go back to Ismail Faruqi. Before Muslims come they make a hijrah, they must be organized. All right. So this is what he says. Organization is a requirement for hijrah. We are here to stay. He says, we are here to plant Islam in this part of the world. And we must utilize everything in our power to make the word of Allah supreme. In the presence of living here, we can become ambassadors of Islam. Allah has carved out a vocation for you and a new mission. And this mission is to save the West, to save the humanity of the West by converting that humanity to Islam. We want to live henceforth as if we were muhajirs, companions of Muhammad from Makkah to Medina. And so let us invest our hijrah with this new meaning. Let us appoint ourselves as ambassadors of Islam in this country, and let us begin a pragmatic program of real action. He said this in the UK, in London. London's not a safe place anymore. It kind of makes me embarrassed to say my family's English. I know they came over, they fought for this country. My family came on the second Mayflower. But they don't protect their women anymore over in the UK. They don't protect their daughters anymore. This is why you hear those rape gangs and stuff like this. And this man is partly responsible for this because they're supposed to come organized so they never assimilate into the culture. This is what he's saying. You're here to make that you're supposed to bring your country into, you're supposed to bring the Ummah, the nation of Islam, in. This is the thing to understand. That's what he's about. All right. Now, is there Islamic social norms of Islamic supremacy? Let's think about this. This is from a Friday sermon in Israel.
لكن من كل الكفار نحن حين نحكم بالإسلام لن يبقى في قوانيننا ذرة من قانون من غير الإسلام. ليس هذا فقط، ولن نسمح لغير مسلم أن يحكم المسلمين. كن واضح اليوم، يعني بعض إخوتنا اليوم يقول لك نحن يعني نستغل الديمقراطية لأجل الوصول إلى الحكم. أقول للكفار حتى لا ينخدعوا، إخوتنا في الإسلام وإن كنا نخطئهم في الطريق، إذا وصلوا إلى الحكم عن طريق الديمقراطية ثم تمكنوا فإنهم لن يسمحوا لكافر أن يحكمهم بعد ذلك. يعني كونوا مطمئنين. أقصد بقولي هذا أردوغان أو رحم الله تعالى محمد مرسي، نفس الشيء. أينما وصل المسلمون للحكم يا أحبابنا بأي طريق يصلون لن يسمحوا لكافر أن يحكم المسلمين بعد ذلك. فيش عندنا تعدد بين الإسلام وكفر، إحنا لا في عندنا إسلام، فيش عندنا كفار بحكم الإسلام إحنا. لقوله تعالى ولا يجعل الله للكافرين على المؤمنين سبيلا. أما إذا كان إخوتنا الإسلاميين بدعبوكم بيقول لكم نعم نحن نحب تداول السلطة، هذا بيقولوا بتمسكنوا حتى يتمكنوا، إن تمكنوا لن يسمحوا لكافر أن يحكم المسلمين. قولا واحدا.
Think about this. He was saying you can't take, I mean, when the Muslims take power, you can't take it back. You'll never rule again. This is extremely important. And if you look at places that have Islamic representatives in government, they're going to run another Muslim so they can't. Okay, we've got Republicans now who are now running Muslims in their party. That means they're willing to give up. There will never be, I mean, they don't understand this. That, again, the Democratic Party truly doesn't understand it. They're okay with this. I mean, they've been in courts, I mean, in the congressional hearings trying to say, yes, we're for Sharia. Okay. You don't want another Christian, another Jew, and even an atheist to be in government. You want all Muslims, is what you're saying, because that's the mindset here. That is the mindset. All right. And this is the other problem. You can't trust the Muslims to tell you anything about Islam. Now, count these words with me. And this is done by Adam. This is his great work. I have to say thank you to Adam. Taqiyya is the first word here. Some of the Islamic doctrines of deceit. How many words do they have to talk about lying to non-Muslims? Well, we have taqiyya or mudarat. Taqiyya, same thing. I mean, calculated dissent for the purpose of spreading Islam. It's protecting Islam. Okay, you lie to protect Islam. Okay. How about kitman? Deceit by silence or omission, lying by omission. An example would be when Muslim apologists quote only a fragment of a verse that if anyone kills, it shall be as if he killed all mankind. Well, you don't talk about the rest of the verse because that's like, that tells you that's talking about Jews. It's a verse about the Jews. Oh. So now you look like, yeah, if you fell for that one. How about this one? Shariah, deceit by ambiguity, lying by omission. Taisir, deceit through facilitation, not having to observe all the tenets of Sharia. This becomes important along with the next ones. To me, the next ones are the scariest ones. Darura, deceit through necessity, to engage in something haram or forbidden. Necessity. So in order to get in the United States, let's say we get to a point where we're saying for Muslims, because we don't want you killing the homosexuals here, which is part of this, which is part of Sharia. We say, okay, if you want to come to the United States, the guy has to kiss a man. And if he agrees to it, again, this would be something haram, something forbidden, he could do it. I don't know many men that would do that, but they could, because it's for the purpose of deceit to achieve something. Maruna, blending in, the temporary suspension of Sharia in order for the Muslim immigrants to appear moderate. There is no moderate Islam. You can appear moderate, and that's deceit. And then there's y'all. Contortion, contrivance, subterfuge, legalistic trickery. This is important to understand. So what does Sharia say about lying to non-Muslims? Here we go. It says, the prophet said, he who settles disagreements between people to bring about good or says something commendable is not a liar. Wait, you can lie to achieve a goal. That's what this is saying. If you make people happy and you told lies to both sides and they believe them, you did a good thing. Won't they be mad at you later because they found out you lied? But that's okay, according to Muhammad. How about this one? This continues that line. This is an explicit statement saying that lying is sometimes permissible for a given interest. Scholars have established criteria defining what types of it are lawful. Okay, they have Ghazali, who comes along much later. He says, speaking is a means to achieve objectives. So your speech can be deceitful. And that's okay because you're achieving your objectives. Now let's take a look at this blue piece. When it is possible to achieve such an aim by lying, but not by telling the truth, it is permissible to lie. If attaining the goal is permissible. When the purpose of lying is to circumvent someone who is preventing one from doing something permissible, and obligatory to lie if the goal is obligatory. Is jihad an obligatory goal? Start thinking about this. If jihad is an obligatory goal, how much more lies are you going to face? Let's keep going on this. Let's just read the red. It is not unlawful to lie when any one of these aims can be attained through lying. In the green, it says, it is religiously more precautionary in all such cases to employ words that give a misleading impression. So you can mislead the cops if you know the neighbor next door has a bomb, because he's going to do something as an act of jihad, and you don't want the cops to know. All right, let's talk about civilization jihad in public schools. This is happening today. This is a little bit old, but think about this. The pledge today is now being said in different languages. Amongst those different languages is Arabic. Personally, I think it should be only English. Kids are allowed to sing Allah's praises in choirs, but they will not allow them to sing Christian songs at Christmas. Holocaust denial assignments are being given out. Holocaust denial assignments. Think that's crazy? It's truthful. I know this is old. It's 2014. 12 years ago this was happening. It's much worse now.
As you can imagine, this is very upsetting for people. There's even been death threats toward the interim superintendent and the district's communications director, who told us this afternoon now that any references to the Holocaust not occurring have been removed from any future assignments, the district calling that homework project a mistake. It's the worst case of documented genocide the world has ever seen. 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. Yet this homework assignment in Rialto asked middle school students to debate whether it actually happened.
What was presented to kids in Rialto was a travesty.
Rabbi Cooper and others at the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles are outraged by the assignment, asking eighth graders to cite credible sources on both sides. The first page states some people claim the Holocaust is not an actual event, but instead a propaganda tool created for political and monetary gain.
The word credible just jumped right out of the page. And later on, you have the Holocaust is the hoax. You even have a section called Anne Frank is a fraud.
This was a mistake. It should be corrected. It will be corrected.
The 18-page project completed in April was created by a group of district educators as an exercise in critical thinking. Initially, school officials defended the assignment, but following a firestorm of criticism, quickly changed its tune.
We all know it was real. The Holocaust is not a hoax. We need to make sure that when we teach this in the Rialto Unified School District, we teach it with sensitivity and compassion. And I believe in our classroom teachers, they are teaching it with sensitivity and compassion.
The Anti-Defamation League that led the opposition called the project poorly thought out, but is satisfied the district is now revising the assignment going forward with sensitivity for the millions of Holocaust victims who lost their lives.
We're not impugning that they decided to do this, that this was motivated by malice or anything like that. We think it's more just a case of a misguided application of bad educational strategy.
Pedagogically, socially, morally, an F.
So let me tell you the truth about this assignment. This assignment, I contacted.
This is very upsetting.
This assignment was first reported on.
As you can imagine, this is very upsetting
it's
for
starting
people.
by itself. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, this assignment was first written about it in an article, and I contacted the writer. The writer says, "Okay." I said, "I know who gave the assignment." The author of the article says we can't determine who gave this assignment. I said, "Well, you ruled out the teachers because they said they were ordered to teach this, right? You ruled out the person who was over the building, the principal, because the principal said no. He was told that this isn't an ordered assignment. Okay, you ruled out the social studies coordinator, the person who was in charge of that. Okay, you ruled out the curriculum director. Now every educator knows who's left. There's only two people left. There's an assistant superintendent. Well, he ruled that person out. Who's left? The superintendent of schools, and guess what his name was? Muhammad. Trips to mosque. Well, have you heard about them taking trips to churches from schools? But they've been taking trips to mosques. And when they get the kids to the mosque, they have them pray. Start thinking about that. If your children are taking a trip to a mosque and you sign them up, the teachers are going to have them join the imam in prayer. Oh, no. Don't let your children do this. How about this? In Canada, this has been going on for years now. There's out in Canada, the Toronto area, there is a mosque in the nearby area of Toronto that sends an imam to a school, and they do Friday prayer service during the school hours. They have someone go over and lead Jumu'ah prayers for the children. And the girls and boys have to be separated into different rooms. Start thinking about this. This is what they do during their month of fasting. They're demanding rooms for prayer, one for boys, one for girls. This is demanded. Public schools are now allowing this. Do they? And when it comes down to Lent, now all of a sudden they're giving they're giving rooms for Lent for people to go pray. But that's just kind of odd. There's a lot of misinformation in textbooks now. If you pick up in a textbook, it's likely it has lies in it about Islam. I saw a textbook that had 25 lies in less than 25 pages. That has, and all this stuff was about Islam. I saw a textbook that called Israel Palestine. I saw a textbook that said King David of Palestine, King Solomon of Palestine. Gee, who put those in there? Well, I'll tell you who did. It's this group. This was the group that was approving all of the textbooks, the religion issues in the social studies textbooks. And look at this, Institute on Religion and Civic Values. Who are they really? This is the Council on Islamic Education. Today, if you go to the site that's on the page here, CIE.org, and you read the About Us, or if you just look at CIE, you realize they're shutting down. Well, there are other Muslim Brotherhood type organizations like this that are now taking the role, the handoff. So this organization is almost entirely dead. If you go to the site today, you will notice there's no real pictures of anybody real there. It's been sanitized over and over again. I suggest you go to archive.org and look at the older websites that they had up. It will blow your mind. It was very secretive that they were CIE back then. You could look up ircv.org when you go to archive.org, and you'll find a whole lot of different information. All right. Next question. Are there racist social norms with Islamic beliefs against Black people? Well, racism, according to dictionary.com, is a belief or doctrine that it has inherent differences among the various human racial groups, determined cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to dominate others, or that a particular racial group is inferior to others. That's pretty much it. Makes a lot of sense. That's the definition of racism. Okay, so what do Muslims call Black people? Abd. They use the word abd. The word for black is a swat, but the word they're using, abd, is the word slave. Even Wikipedia knows that one. Sounds pretty racist. How about this one? Qur'an 3:106. On the day some faces will turn white and some faces will turn black. As for those whose faces turn black, to them it will be said, did you disbelieve after your belief? Then taste the punishment for what you used to reject. How about 39:60? And on the day of resurrection, you will see those who lied about Allah with their faces blackened. Is there not in hell a residence for the arrogant? Now, we're going straight from racism to talk about slavery. This video creeps me out every time I watch it, to think that there is a woman who wants to pursue the idea of slavery, sex slavery I'm talking about. This is kind of mind-numbing.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم سلوى المطيري. أنا جتني رسالة شوي غريبة. واحد تاجر قال لي إنه يبي على حسب كلامه عبدة وجارية، وإنه ما راح يقصر وهذا، وإنه بالإسلام محلل هذا الشيء. صحيح كلامه، هو الرجال ما كذب. فموضوعه ذكرني موضوع قديم، يعني موضوع هذا قبل 2 يمكن. كنت أعمل مع شخص، هذا الشخص يعني ما شاء الله لساته شباب، فشنو كان كثير يعني يعرف نساء، فكنت يعني مشفقة لوضعه وكذلك مخلصة لعملي. فسبحان الله يعني سنحت لي الفرصة إني ظروف إني أزور مكة. فلما زرت مكة طرأ علي هو يعني على وضعه هذا، لأن يعني المهم فدقيت على المفتين في مكة، فقلت لهم وجهت سؤال عن يختص فيه، قلت إنه عنده حلال وعنده خير ويعني يحب النساء. فقلت شنو قانون الجواري؟ فقالوا قانون الجواري يعني قال لي المفتي قانون الجواري إن لازم تكون دولة مسلمة غازية، دولة مسيحية أو دولة غير ليست على دين الإسلامي، وأسرى، يعني لازم يكون أسرى حرب. يعني قلت هل هو حرام؟ قال لا، بالدين مو حرام، الجواري ليس بالدين حرام، بالعكس الجارية قانونها غير عن قانون الحرة. الحرة عورتها كلها إلا وجهها ويدها، أما الجارية من السرة وتحت، يعني تختلف جدا عن الحرة، والحرة لازم بعقد. السلام
So I'm
عليكم
going to skip from here. I want you to understand, Islam has a love of slavery. They hide their love of slavery in the section on trade, in the section that Muslims call marriage. That word, nikah, is not the word marriage. It's the F word. So they call it marriage, but it's not. So let's take a look at this. Notice on the left, you will see this is the Reliance of the Traveler translation. They left out any, you see this part right here in red and white? It says they guarantees it that he frees the slave being sold. Do you see anything over here about a slave being sold? There's no word slave over here. It's all gone. Okay, look at the next section. He sacrifices and is freed from every hidden defect in the animal that the seller, the animal they're talking about, oh, they were talking about slaves. Payment of I'm not even touching this thing, it's moving. Payment of non-refundable deposits. Here we go. Again, K 4.6. Take a look at this. 4.5, I'm sorry, 4.5. On the bottom, we have K 4.5. If there is a difference between the slave girl and her child before the age of discrimination by selling or giving her a gift, it is invalid. Wait a minute. Do you see anywhere up there in the English that they started talking about slaves? No. And then they didn't translate K 4.6 because then they'd have to talk about buying from them a wanton person, a slave, sex slave. Here we go again. This is you cannot trust Muslims, even when they're talking to English-speaking Muslims, to tell the truth. Muslims in America, Muslims in the UK, Muslims all over Europe, do not trust what the Muslims are telling you about their own faith because they are lying and deceiving you. Here it is in print. And I didn't change anything. Doing it on its own, that's really weird. K 4.11. Again, you can look over on the left. You can see there's no mention of the word slave. But yet it says it's talking about contract, permissible. What is it not permissible? And the permissibility here is taken to be valid, such as his slave and a slave. So talking about selling slaves. It's permissible. How about this one? K 4.12. Again, no mention of the word slave on the left. But when you do the exact, I mean, even Google will help you. Google can tell the truth. I check Google Translate with translators to make sure it's accurate. Here we have, my slave will live with you. All right. And I will sell you her as a slave. And you have to understand that, I mean, they have, as part of asking for forgiveness, you can free a slave. But Muslims can own a piece of a slave. Again, it's turning without my permission, so I don't know why it's doing that. All right. Well, this is the stuff to understand. Slavery is loved in Islam. All right. Here we're talking about Altasia. And down here, it says Altasia is added to the return by making the slave girl's face redden, her hair black, and the like. Okay. So I asked Usama Dakdak, what does that mean? And why is it going back? All right. Here we go. Altasia, according to Usama Dakdak, that's cheating. How you cheat? You make something bad look good for the purpose of making more money. In cows, that you tie the nipples for a day in calf, and then they take the tie off, and the price of the cow goes up because it looks like they can hold more milk. If you're selling a slave, Altasia also can be done. You make her face red to make her look healthy. You make her look younger by dyeing her hair black. Wow. And this goes on and on. Okay, who is it? It is unlawful for a Muslim man to marry who? A Zoroastrian woman, an idol worshiper, an apostate from Islam, a woman from one parent. It says over here in yellow, it says it's not lawful or valid for a Muslim woman to be married to anyone besides a Muslim. But it doesn't say this. A Christian slave, okay. Let me read that. It is forbidden for a Muslim to marry a Zoroastrian woman, a pagan woman, or an apostate, or, oh, that's someone who left Islam, one of whose parents is a Christian, and the other a Christian, or a Christian slave woman, the son's slave girl, his own slave girl, or a female slave, but it's permissible to have intercourse with the Christian slave woman by right of possession. So this is why the rape gangs are going on. They're allowed to rape the ones they consider their slaves. This is part of jihad. It's engraved in Sharia. M6.10. It's forbidden for a free man to have more than 4 wives. It's better to limit himself. Okay. And then you get to M6.11. They don't want to translate this. Why? It says he may have intercourse with the right hand. Talk about his slaves as much as he wishes. It is not this every time they mention the right hand, they're talking about their slave girls. It's forbidden to have more than 2 wives on okay. It's forbidden for a free man to marry a Muslim slave woman unless he fears hardship, which is falling into adultery, and he does not have a free woman suitable for enjoyment, for muta, and is unable to provide a dowry for a free woman, so he can do this with a slave woman. This is disgusting, but this is what Islam wants. And these people they're talking about, sex slaves, would be your women and children, because that's part of jihad. That's why this is happening across Europe. M10.11, again, not translated. And whoever owns female slaves is not obligated to provide for them. He must not delay them between sections. So he can rape them as much as they want. This is over and over and over. And then we have the marriage of prepubescent girls. Marriage without a virgin's consent is a social norm. Here we go, Quran 65:4. Again, pick up Usama Dakdak's The Generous Qurans if you want an accurate translation of the Quran. Here we go. And for those of you women, your women, who despair the menstruation, if you doubt they may be pregnant, this has to do with divorce, okay? You think they might be pregnant, you're not sure. 65:4 says, if you doubt they may be pregnant, the prescribed waiting time is 3 months. So they're not allowed to leave the house after divorce and being divorced until 3 months are done. See, Islam doesn't understand pregnancy. So you have to wait 3 months. And if you don't give birth by that point, you can leave. Okay, wait a minute. As well as for those who have not yet begun menstruation. So they're having sex with prepubescent girls, and they're divorcing prepubescent girls. Oh. And those who are pregnant, they have to wait till they give birth. and then they will force you to take care of those women, take care of those babies after divorce, and then they take the child. All right, here we go again. A virgin, guardians who marry a virgin to a man without her consent. All right, they have two categories, forced and non-forced. And again, it says it here. You can, again, likewise, the master in the case of his female slave in general. The meaning of forced is that he has the right to marry her without changing her consent. This is important. A forced marriage may be carried out without her consent and permission if she is a virgin. Oh, are you catching this? Forced marriage. A girl has no, I mean, to this day in Europe, countries who have taken on a lot of Muslims are finding children forced to go back to the homeland of the parents to save their children have been sold off in marriages. They force their children into marriages in their homeland or even in their own country that they're living in. They don't have a choice. And then they appeal. The children who grew up in the European countries beg, plead, and try to get to the embassies and ask for help. Well, European countries are going and helping their countrymen, their women, even in these situations. And that's highly documented. England and France have this highly documented. Here we go again. I mean, talking about what they're doing, it's bad. All right. We have Aisha's story about her marriage. She says, "Oh, Allah's messenger, a virgin feels shy. He said her consent is expressed by her silence." Was asked how of Allah's apostle, how will the virgin express her consent? He said, by keeping silent. You have a 6-year-old girl coming to a wedding. Does she know what's going to happen? Absolutely not. How about this one? I think this is rather recent. Lady Logic, this is God Logic's wife. She's a really intelligent lady. Watch this one.
I was going to touch a bit differently because I do believe in the hadith. And I do believe that Aisha radiallahu anha, the marriage was contracted at 6 and consummated at 9. We have a hadith where Aisha radiallahu anha explicitly states not only that when she hit the age of 9, she became a woman.
Wait. What do they mean by became a woman? This is part to understand. This is extremely important. This woman believed that all of a sudden, because girls, she's saying all girls get their period at the age of 9. This woman's trying to say that. But she's saying Aisha was 9. Well, according to Islam, you're not allowed to play with dolls until, so you're allowed to play with dolls until you reach puberty. Then they take the dolls away. Well, Aisha at Muhammad's house was playing with dolls. Start thinking about it. Yeah.
People, I was going to...
All right, is wife beating a social norm? These are things that are in the Quran. These are things that are in Sharia. This is what Muslims want. Okay, Quran 4:34, men are in charge of women by what Allah preferred some of them above the others and by what they spend of their money. So good women are obedient in guarding secret. Okay, so they're guarding their private areas. That's what this is saying. And of whom you fear rebellion. Who you fear. So wait, they haven't rebelled. Doesn't say they rebelled. You think they may rebel. So preach to them and separate from them in the beds and scourge them. And that means you do these things all at the same time. If you fear that they will disagree with you, You preach to them, you separate from their beds, and beat them. Scourge them is a reference to the whip they put above their mantle to impress their wives. What could happen if they disagree? Is violence for violence a social norm in Islam? Again, this is what you're expecting if your country is accepting Sharia. Sharia courts all over England. Wherever Sharia courts appear, this is the stuff that is permitted. If you go to a Sharia court, they're not going to not deny these things. They're going to say, we can't say these things are legal, but we're not going to say against them. Here we go. 1.1, retaliation is obligatory for whoever intentionally kills a person purely out of aggression. Intention is the first condition that excludes accident and purely intentional accident. And aggression, okay, so if somebody kills somebody on purpose, there must be retaliation. So you have a gang member going and killing a gang member, and they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's what's been happening in Islam for decades and decades, centuries, millennia. The never-ending gang war. Oh, does this reach into terrorism? October 29th, 2020. The Nice Basilica attack trial. The accused admitted to the facts. Here's what he said. Yes, I acknowledge the facts. I am not a terrorist. I'm a Muslim, he said. Here's his justification. Every day there are Muslims who die. Every day you kill Muslims and you don't care. You have no empathy for these people. The West blindly kills innocent Muslims, and taking revenge is a right and truth. So jihad is a right. Retaliation is a right. Are you catching this? The assassinations were legitimate. He said, it's my right, it's my justice. This is Sharia. Okay. Are there exceptions to the rule of retaliation? Yes. You get a child, person not exactly mentally okay. Yeah, that's an exception. Okay, underneath that, a Muslim for killing a non-Muslim. This is their law. This is what you're accepting if you say Sharia is okay. Notice the hearings in DC aren't talking about this. Why? It's okay to have slavery. It's okay to beat your wives. It's okay to be racist. But they won't talk about this. A Muslim for killing a non-Muslim. And then this is the interest. This is part. Most of you have heard of Hammurabi's Code. We teach this, gets taught in 9th grade in public high schools. Sharia is very much like Hammurabi's Code. There are different classes. So if a free man kills someone's wife, the guy who is on the other side, he doesn't go and kill the guy who killed his wife. He goes and kills the man's wife. She didn't do anything wrong. All right, if his slave was killed, this goes back and forth and back and forth. This is the continuation of today's concept of gang warfare. It just goes on and on and on. You know, and they don't kill an apostate. I mean, they don't kill the Jew or Christian or whoever kills an apostate. Oh, because that's okay. It's okay to kill the apostate. So if somebody leaves Islam, it doesn't matter who kills them. It's okay. Here we go again. Sunan Abi Dawud. A free man should not be subject to retaliation in return for a slave. This is the part that I get disgusted with. It made me want to throw up when I first read this. Is it permissible to kill your children in Islam? What is called honor killing. This is, again, 01.2. It's talking about retaliation. This is an exception. This is number 4. We read the first 3. A father or mother, or their fathers or mothers, for killing their offspring or offspring's offspring. They're allowed to kill their children. It doesn't provide a reason. That's important to understand. It's not just apostates. If your child embarrasses you, I can't even think about how many children, there's so few children that don't embarrass their parents. This is disgusting. And it's written into their law. We will never know how many children of Muslims have been killed for honor killing. It is beyond sick. Again, it's in their law. Please read this book, Reliance of the Traveler. Please go buy this. Please get people to read it. How about this one? Dad shoots daughter 15 in sick honor killing after she refused to stop posting TikToks. And this was in 2025. I have documented stuff on this every year. This is just one of the many titles that I have researched on. It's just sick. Yes, they do happen in the United States. How about jihad? Let me play this one.
Monroe Community Hospital is a great place.
Oops. Why is it doing this? I'm just going to hit escape then.
For someone to launch their career. You're going to have opportunities that you might not have elsewhere.
You can be a and we are jumping out of this for a minute, and I will. This is ridiculous. Trying to fix this. Hold on a second.
CNA, LPN, sky is beyond the limit.
And it's not letting me get out. Hold on a second. We will play the game. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, I say. That's what I get for not taping it, and I will go back and do that in the future. Always fight to get what's right.
The real issue is confronting the jihad.
Jihadist sympathizers.
The world of jihad.
When I first hear the word, I get defensive. Like, no, it's not what you think.
I sort of seize up. It's kind of upsetting.
A very grossly misunderstood, misrepresented term.
It's always paired with images of suicide bombers and war and large terrorist acts.
Essentially a harnessing of narratives of the other that we can turn into whatever we want to.
It's a Muslim's duty to go and start killing people. And it's that's not what it's about at all.
Come on, do you know what Google is? You can find out. The word jihad comes from the Arabic word jahada, which literally means...
Okay, not true. You're going to find this out in a short while.
...means to struggle. And that's all that it really means.
A process where an individual takes on themselves. They're dealing with their own internal vices.
The fight against
the human tendency for selfishness. Jihad mostly was a spiritual thing, was an internal thing of overcoming obstacles that you go through. The struggle
Not
to
true.
just be a better person, to be a better Muslim.
Waking up in the
Not
morning,
true.
I could be like, yo, it was a total jihad to get that girl's phone number.
This is garbage. Okay. And let me get to the next one. Come on. Come on. And this is the joy of fighting with things. And I will just go on to the next slide. Come on. The joy of live shows. Sometimes you can't do what you want, sometimes you can. Why is it not? In the end show. Let me end show. All right. And I can't get the thing off the screen. This is crazy. Sometimes things just don't work the way you want. That's the truth. And I can't figure out where it's gone. This is crazy. All right. And I will simply do it another way. Here we go. I got it to work. Here we come back. All right. Sorry, guys. And we will come back to this. All right. Did they use deception? What does Sharia say about jihad? Let's go to what is said in their documents, in the Reliance of the Traveler, in Sharia. It says jihad means to war against non-Muslims and is etymologically derived from the word mujahada. So that man lied. All right. Signifying warfare to establish the religion. In Arabic, look at it. Right from Arabic, it says it is fighting the infidels. Jihad is derived from mujahada, which means fighting to establish the religion. The basis for it before the consensus was verses such as Allah saying, fighting has been prescribed for you, Quran 2:216, and his saying, and kill them wherever you find them, Quran 489, and his saying, fight against the polytheists altogether, Quran 936. In reports such as the best of the two Sahihs, I have been commanded to fight the people until they testify there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Establish prayer and pay zakat, and if they say this, their blood and wealth are protected from me, except for the rights of Islam, and their reckoning is with Allah. And the hadith of Muslim, going out in the morning or going out in the way of Allah is better than the world and everything. Its details are derived from his biography. This is Sharia. It's not some imaginary struggle that I'm getting. I'm getting it from what Muslim law is. I didn't make this up. It's their words. And and it goes on. And in the second, he did not go on himself, but some sent to fight while he remained in Medina, and it was 47. Okay. How about this one? Quran, not 290. Evil is what they have purchased by themselves, and they become infidels by what Allah has sent down out of envy, that Allah will send down from his bounty on whom he wills from his servants. So they have incurred wrath upon wrath, into the infidels a disgrace and torment, disgraceful torment. All right, I'm reading their books. That's where this comes from. War is decreed for you, to you, and it is hated by you. Perhaps you may hate something and it is good for you. And perhaps you love something and it's evil for you. And Allah knows and you do not know. This is in the Quran. This is what this is based on. How about this one? Surely those who became infidels, their money and their children will not profit them anything against Allah, and those are the fuel of the fire. Quran 3:10. And then we go to 3:151. We will cast terror into the hearts of those who became infidels, because they partner other gods with Allah, which he did not send down with any authority, and their abode is the fire. And again, this is it's claiming Allah is the father of terrorism. In their books that they put in schools, if you go to an Islamic school, you're likely to see this book, What Islam is All About. In here, it says a person who engages in jihad is called a mujahid, or struggles for Allah. Allah has also explained to us why fighting is sometimes a part of jihad. Oh, let those fight in the cause of Allah who sell life of this world for the next life. This is what is taught in Islam in their schools. All right, and they cite the same verses. Obligatory nature of jihad. Let me make this larger. All right, jihad is a communal obligation. It's undertaken by those who are sufficient. So if there's enough people to fight, you don't need to fight. But if there isn't, you must join them. Oh, Allah Most High said, not equal are those believers who sit at home other than those who are disabled. Okay. Allah Most High said, not, I mean, there's a correction. Ayah 90. Yeah. If you keep reading this, it will blow your mind that jihad is required. This is not something I'm making up. It's coming straight from their documents. And when you read the translation, you sit there and go, wow, they're even lying. In as much as they're telling the truth, they're not telling it all. It's bad. It is a communal obligation. How about this one? It says the first, in the red, it says the first is when they are in their own countries, in which cause jihad is a communal obligation. How did they get in their own countries? If they got Muslims in a country, their own countries would be, and they grew up in a foreign country, and now you can have jihad. Are you catching this? Infidels enter a Muslim country or settled close to it. Jihad is an individual obligation upon them, and the people of that country are obligated to repel the infidels as much as they can. Oh, you come into the country, you made a hijrah there, and now you're going to attack the people whose country you entered. It's right there. This is the translation. Those charged with jihad, a debtor may not engage in jihad without the permission of his creditor, nor a slave, oh, they left the word slave out of there, without the permission of his master, nor a Muslim who has started puberty without parental permission. So if he's young, he has to get his parents' permission. It's disliked to wage war without the permission of the imam. They don't need the permission of the imam. They can just engage in it. That's important to understand. He may not seek help of a polytheist unless the Muslims are few in number. This is why they wait for certain percentages. The objectives of jihad. Again, this comes from Reliance the Traveler. It's not something I'm making up. It's there. All right? I can go on and on with this. There's just so much more information. Now, this part should shock you.
Do you think at some point there's going to be Sharia law everywhere?
100%. This is my goal and every Muslim's goal.
And you think
establish Sharia law on earth?
Okay, but when there is Sharia law on earth, then somebody like me
Reliance the Traveler is the source.
Because I am a Murtad.
It's up to the Amir.
But it's under Islamic law. It says that I should be killed. So you think that's okay?
In the Sharia law, that's what I follow.
But do you think that's fair for me? Like, let's say you're right, I'm wrong. Do you think it's fair to kill me because I got the conclusions wrong?
If Sharia law states that, then it should be fair for me. There's always a safe haven for you under Sharia law.
No, because you said Sharia law on everywhere on earth, so there's not going to be any safe haven for me. If Islam dominates all of earth,
that's the plan, and
that's the plan. So where would be my safe haven?
In Islam.
But that would be by force then, wouldn't it? If my only safe haven is by Islam, and if I don't go back to Islam, punishment is death.
So there's two choices.
Then
Islam.
You think at some point there's.
This is insane. I mean, you convert or die. Convert or die. Even as recently as this past month, Dearborn, Michigan, he's talking about the purpose of jihad. This is really short.
We actually have a hadith, and hopefully we're raising our children in this way, that each and every one of us is supposed to dream of the opportunity of engaging in jihad with the enemy. You're supposed to want to lock horns with the bad guys.
That's June 16th, 2026, here in this country. And the bad guys he just defined as non-Muslims.
We actually have.
This goes on and on. The same in July 1st, Huntsville, Alabama. This guy says to attack again. He's talking about jihad. I'm going to skip. Let's look at Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. If you reject the knowledge that this is giving you, what are we saying? Okay, so some people reject knowledge. Okay, it says, I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me, seeing that you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. So if you are willing to say this is not real, you're willing to reject all this knowledge that I've just shared, you're being destroyed for this lack of knowledge because you're refusing, you're rejecting it. I mean, our goal is to get the truth out, not to use stuff that we make up, but to put the truth out. That's the important part. To be destroyed for lack of knowledge because you reject it. I can't live like that. I don't know if you can, but I can't. You can't do these things to yourself. All right. If you think what you've heard is important, these are ways to support my work. You can buy the books I put out on this. These are the 3 books I have out on civilization jihad. You can contact me if you'd like me to come and speak to your group. Again, I just spoke down in Port Charlotte, Florida. I really enjoyed that. You can go to the YouTube site. You can go to my blog, and I post the weekly news stories there that we do with Usama. And these are the devotionals. I think the best thing anyone can do is dig deep into the scriptures. All right, dig deep into the scriptures. That will get, if you're having a problem with addiction, there's nothing better than to dig deep into the Word of God, not just a surface run. No, learn more about the scriptures than anything else. Sometimes when you're racing through stuff and in the scriptures, I think you miss so much. I know that I did. Being serious about what I read has changed my life more than I can even say. So if you want to be serious about what you're learning, get into the scriptures and dig deep. Thank you all. God bless. And I will say good night.